Hi, good morning. Megan Marini here with Tools of Light. I am going to share this morning about my kids and teens workshop titled Inner Lights. And my dog Pipey or Piper is also going to make a cameo, and you can probably hear her chewing. So, welcome, Piper. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in and for your interest. I tried to go live and I couldn't figure it out. So, if you do have any questions, this is going to be living on YouTube and you can just pop them in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And you can just reach out. I'm very easy to get a hold of and I can easily hop on a call or answer any questions. But I do have a tickle in my nose, so hold on. It's so itchy. Keeping it real. Okay, so Inner Lights is obviously my teen workshop that really came about because I noticed working with the kids and the teens that I was working with and the young adults that they would have almost a similar solution that they needed to the adults, but a different way of looking at the world. Because obviously things have changed so much since, we were kids. And yeah, they just have a different problem set, but the solutions are the same, which is really cool. So if you know my work, right, my name's Megan Marini. If you know my work, I'm doing mind-body medicine, what I call conscious medicine. I coach, which is really, really cool for kids. They're very coachable. I've noticed in the sessions and in the workshops that the kids are really they sort of absorb everything and they absorb and learn fast because these skills and these tools are very natural. They're very much in alignment with what the body and the mind wants to succeed. So it's almost like giving the flower everything it needs, right? You're like, let me put you in the south window or whatever, and let me water you just when you're thirsty, not all the time. And when you do these things, obviously the outcome changes from when you're not sensitive to what the plant needs. And it's the same thing where we're almost like head up, we're cut off from our body. And I can't tell you how many of the kids I've worked with have not understood or not learned to take a deep belly breath yet. And the power of being able to connect into your body, sense how you feel, sense what's happening in the physical, it really helps to bring the mind down. And that's one of the big pieces, right? So that's like when we deal with big emotions. And the outcomes that we're seeing is really that the kids are able to process bigger emotions with less of an impact on their life. So it's no longer, should we bring them to, an inpatient unit for the weekend? And it's now we're giggling all weekend and everybody's happy and the behaviors have changed and the grades are better at school. And I'm not exaggerating any of those things. It's like literally that amazing when we go into alignment. It's the same results that I get with my adults, It's like shockingly amazing. And not everyone, but over 90% of the people I work with have an amazing, amazing turn. So, yeah, some of the things that the kids come in with are issues around socializing, feeling completely consumed by what other people think. And you can imagine this, especially given the social media, and how intense social media is for the kids. And then the other piece is, performance and feeling like they have to get all A's in their homework, and that can be a lot of pressure. Even like pressure to look good, to have a perfect outfit. For some of the girls, that's been like a really huge thing that affects their mental health. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I understand that. Like that makes sense, your presentation, but it shouldn't have that big of an impact on your day. It shouldn't control you that much, right? So things like isolating when there's a major change in the family dynamic, the child or the teen just goes into their own cocoon. They won't share their feelings with anyone because they don't have the tools to process those emotions, right? Some of these kids are on anxiety medications, numerous medications. They they have outside support like a therapist and maybe even up to 3 different types of therapists. I have one who has 3 different therapists, but none of it is actually changing the behavior. And I don't mean to, say anything against traditional, Western medicine, but sometimes talking about everything is not going to solve the problem. You have to go much deeper. And that's how the tools that I use do it. So when it's OCD, anxiety, depression, I'm using these other tools. So we're not just going to talk about it and circle around it. So another thing that we've seen a lot is just with the impact of COVID and having that extra screen time. And I really just want to say to all the parents that I think there's just no judgment on that. Like, you did what you did the best you could. And if we look holistically at our kids as a generation, I think we need to see them as very resilient, capable, and we need to just get them the right resources. So if the resources you have in place aren't working, it doesn't mean take them away, but maybe it's enhance them or add someone like me. So the thing that's cool about the work I'm doing with Inner Lights is it's in person. And I have to do in-person work because I think that there's something else that happens. And I think the social dynamic has a healing, it has a healing piece unto itself that you don't get when you're just on a Zoom. You can't connect in the same way. We're designed to be around each other. Right? Like, we're tribal, whether you like it or not. Like, we've all come from the same, all the way back. We were one tribe, right? So, yeah. Like, we're supposed to hype. Okay, don't make me spill the coffee, though. Let's see how she'll behave. Oh, there's a little nose. Snoopy. Okay. So, yeah. So there's no guilt. I think we're where we are, and I think that the kids are going to find their way. And it's perhaps like living through the Great Depression or something. Is it going to stay genetically in the genes for the next 3 generations, these kids that grew up with COVID? Yeah, it will. But does it mean that we can't find a way? No, it does not mean that. So, yeah. Okay, here she is. Baby, what do you think about the whole situation? Huh, did a pretty girl? What do you think? Oh, bye. Oh, okay. So let's see. Yeah, so I wanted to share a little bit about the way that I run the workshop and what it looks like. Okay, let's get down. Okay. So, excuse me. Okay, Pipe. Pipina, go lay down. Good girl. See if she'll behave. I'm like dehydrated. I'm definitely dehydrated, like drinking coffee and talking. Okay, so yeah, so the way that I've designed the workshop is based on my background in adult learning theory. So like how you build programming and learning environments where it's very experiential. So it's not a lecture. It's not just like listen to one person for 2 hours, right? That is, that's learning doesn't really happen that way, right? So it's all experiential. The entire thing is like, feel what this feels like. Let's discuss this. What is this like for you? And let's play a game. So the skills are in the drills. So actually walking around feeling like this, trying this new breathing practice, thinking about your inner dialogue and how what you think about changes the outcomes in your life. Where do we see that? Where do we see that on television? How do we fold in pop culture and relevant examples that these kids are really influenced by, so that we're sort of just folding in this easier way to approach life around what they already are doing. It's not let's change everything, but let's just realize how simple the system is to use if you use it. And that's not to say that the body is not complex and brilliant, but sometimes we overcomplicate personal growth and we add tension, we add stress. We think we have to be perfect. There is no perfection. Just try something little, but use it. So that's the biggest thing, is that we keep practicing these little things that build. So I use all of that learning theory, and it really works, because by the third session, the kids are like, oh yeah, I'm using it every day and everything's different. So some of the results that the kids are getting are increased test speed, which I'm really excited. They're like measuring this at school. I'm like, nobody ever measured my test speed. Like, what? Test speed, a huge increase in test scores, less anxiety, more social, I'm going to say smoothness, but more social joy and less pressure around who I'm friends with. I'm not aligned with this person anymore. There's a lot of drama. To, I'm cool. I feel good about it. Like, I walk in the lunchroom, and this is in the voice of the teenager. I walk in the lunchroom and I know where I'm going to sit. It's not a big deal anymore. And I really like these people and they're nice to me. Pipe. No eating into the shoe. Go get the ball. Pipe, go get the ball. Go on. Go get the ball. Go get the ball. Okay, so yeah, so we see those types of results. Less anxiety, less depression, more talking about their emotions and ability to process the big emotions, and not as much huge outbreaks where nobody knows what to do. Instead, like, the kid knows what to do. They know how to ask for what they want. So they're like, actually, Mom, what I need right now is this. It's a huge piece, and I love that piece. It's like, being able to advocate for ourselves when we're running hot or running cold. So those are some of the results we see. And yeah, I think that that creating that social space where they're together learning this, it also offers that socialization where, what do you choose to talk about? How do you represent yourself? Which leads me to the final chapter of it, is confidence. And I use improvisational techniques to build confidence. And yeah, it's amazing to see how the kids hold themselves differently after that one class. So the 3 pillars that I'm teaching are inner dialogue and how we think, how these thoughts affect our life is huge. And then how can you notice, become aware, and even transform or shift some of the thinking that you're doing, because maybe it's helping and maybe it's not. And let's face it, most of the time our thoughts are not helping us, right? Most of the time we're being self-critical, worrying, thinking about the future, afraid of the past or whatever, right? We're not in the moment, just like, oh, I want to enjoy this moment, which is what we're supposed to be doing in life at any age, and what we naturally do as babies, right? So we want to come back to that natural state. And so noticing the thinking, the inner dialogue, that's huge for kids because of social media. It's all about thinking that you're not good enough so that you can make a better post, do a better filter, put on more makeup, go buy this, go buy that. You have to have the right sneakers. Like, whoa, no, you don't. You just need to feel good, right? You just need to have joy within. You just need to believe in yourself. And yeah, it's such an important piece, right? So that's one that I love. And that's the first workshop. So it's 4 weeks, and inner dialogue is the first one, because I think you have to start with the thinking. Because if you are all in your head, like most Americans, we want to start there so you have a framework that you can begin to use. I do the same thing with my adults. We have to look at, what is your worldview? How are you thinking about life? Because we can't import some other way of thinking. We're going to utilize the way you think, but we're going to build it out in a holistic way. And then the next is the body. So how to process big emotions, sadness, fear, and anger. Those are sometimes more than what the kid feels or what the teenager feels is sometimes more than what they know how to process. So I'm going to give them the tools to say, like, okay, here it is. Here's my anger. Oh, here's my sadness. How do we process these different things? They're all very different, almost like frequencies, right? Like, real anger is very different than real sadness in its expression. Perhaps it comes from the same place, but once it's in motion, you need a little bit of a different technique to bring it back down. So it's so wonderful to see these kids be able to be more in command of how they feel and to not be afraid of their feelings, because when they have seen big emotions create a negative ripple effect in their life, with their family, with their friends, then they're afraid of them. They're like, what if I do this again? What is this going to mean for my life? Yeah, it's odd. It's something that's out of control for them. And instead of that, we go, oh no, this is what's happening. And this is how it happens. This is why it happens. And next time it happens, let's try this. And the kids come in and they look at me and they literally say, like, this works. I'm using this. And then their friends come in and tell me, oh my gosh, she is totally different. She's no longer stressed out all the time about these things. So it works. It's just absolutely wild to see and to hear about having one reality into being like, okay, so I can handle these, what we would consider normal stressors for teens and adolescents today. Like, these are stressors that are not going to go away. So how do we cope better, right? It is essentially resilience training. And I do consider it emotional intelligence training, because we're looking at ourselves and being able to sort of allow ourselves to have more options versus just always this one way of approaching things. So the last one is the one I mentioned before, is confidence. And I use improvisational techniques, and they're still embodiment techniques. So it's still like mind body medicine, conscious-based medicine, but it's all play the whole time, which is really cool. And the kids love it. It's almost like sports, but for the mind body. But the confidence one is really cool, because now we get to like see it in action and play off of, we're gonna use what we learned week 1. We'll use what we learned week 2, but now we bring it into like the expression. So how do you communicate to someone of influence, like the principal of your school? How do you advocate for your coach if they're not picking you to get on the field? How do you talk to your father when you really want to be like, listen, 75 on this math test is actually good for me, so I need you to see that I've made progress. Like, that's literally like leadership training. And kids have confidence, interestingly, as you probably know, confidence in some areas, and then they don't have it in other areas. And it seems to be like a complete divide, versus what we want is just like a strength SWOT analysis, like strengths and weaknesses. You want to be able to see and sort of wrap your arms around the places where you aren't as confident. So you can say, I do have a hard time advocating for myself there. So let's just gently and with some awareness and patience bring in a new technique to advocate for myself. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be like you have to be 100% confident in that area starting today, but like, what could you do? What could you try? And that's the coaching piece, which is really lovely. So yeah, that's my Inner Lights workshop. And if you've listened this far, I love you, and Pipey love you too. Pipey love you too. Aww. Okay, let's get down. Come on, let's get down. Okay. All right. So my workshop is going to be ongoing. So so check out the dates. I'll put the link below. I'm going to be doing, there are 4-week workshops in person in Norwell. And then I'm going to do one for the school vacations, so that it's not weekly. It's just in that week. So if you want to come to that, or you want to bring your kid for the 4-week. And I'm opening it up so that it's 11 to 17, 18-year-olds in one workshop. So it's not by age, because I feel like it's just easier. Like, just bring your kids. It doesn't matter what age they are. They're going to be learning the same techniques. It's going to be a social environment, a small setting, so that we can really focus in. And it's not like therapy where they're all sharing all of their deepest fears and intimate things. I got to be honest, that really happens in the one-on-one work. And I think for most of the kids, the one-on-one work is really powerful accompanying this. So I've done that with a few of the kids, and that is the most powerful. That's beyond, because there's just so much stuff that they're not going to share in a group setting. So the group setting is really about experiencing these tools and techniques and having fun and learning them and concretizing these systems inside oneself so that you can use them when the pressure hits. The one-on-one work is an opportunity for them to open up and to share that the divorce was hard, to share that they don't know why they flip out about a test, but they're just all of a sudden like on the floor screaming, right? And they're like, I don't know why, and I'm so embarrassed, but I can't change it. And they're not going to say that in the group program. So then we unpack through the course of a 10-week program where we're utilizing a lot of the mind-body practices from Inner Lights, but it's really shaped around their very specific process and how they are unfolding their own timeline. It's all unique for each kid. So yeah, I do it that way as well. And that's the most powerful. And then I also do this workshop at schools. So I can break out by whichever one, if you want to do inner dialogue, which is super important, if you want to do how to process big emotions or confidence. But they're like 3 separate classes. So yeah. Yay! So thank you so much. Again, it's Megan Marini, and my company is Tools of Light. My website is meganmarini.com, and I can easily be found via any of the social media channels. You can reach out to me. You can direct message me. And yeah, just let me know what you need. And I hope to see you and your teen very soon.